guys. Welcome to another talk. The title of this class, Rules of Attraction. Here, I'll be talking about the fifth perfection, which is wisdom, or living insightfully. Inner sight, not outer sight. No. Insightfully. Okay. In 1979, many years ago, a passenger jet carrying 257 passengers took off from New Zealand on a sightseeing tour to Antarctica, South Pole. Yeah, 257 passengers. This beautiful jet on a little cruise to Antarctica. The thing is, karma, very strange karma, which we will talk about next year, how karma works. For some strange reason, unknown to the pilots, somebody had changed the flight coordinates by just 2 degrees. Unknown reason, yeah? They changed the flight coordinates by just 2 degrees, which meant that the plane was now 28 miles or 45 kilometers off course. Yeah. Okay. This error placed them on a collision course with an active volcano down there in Antarctica, active. Huge, rising from the frozen landscape straight up into the air, 12,000 feet. That's high. 12,000 feet. 3,700 meters. Okay. Now, although both these pilots were experienced, they had never taken that route before. They were unfamiliar with that territory. And so they had no idea that those 2 degrees coordinate difference had placed them on a collision course. Well, anyway, as they approached Antarctica, the pilots lowered the flight so that the passengers could get a better view of the landscape. Oh, look. As the plane flew onwards, the white of the snow covering the volcano blended with the white of the clouds. Yeah, and the pilots they couldn't tell that there was a volcano right in front of them. Yeah, they thought they were flying over flat ground. No worries, mate. Until it was a little bit too late. By the time the alarm went off, telling the pilots that the ground was rising fast, approaching fast towards them, it was too late. What? Ground? Where's the ground? Straight into the volcano. Everyone on the flight entered their next rebirth. Yep, gone with the wind. Tragic accident. Tragic. It came about with just an error of 2 degrees, which over time and distance became more than 2 degrees. Yeah? What does this tell you? The difference between happiness and misery. the difference between happiness and misery for individuals, in marriages, in families, in the workplace, in the social context, wherever. The difference between happiness and misery in all these different contexts always begins with just an error of a few degrees. Yeah? Happiness, joy, and sorrow creeps up on us slowly, unnoticed by us. And before we know it, we've lost our health, we've lost the relationship, we get fired from the workplace, we lose our finances. Slowly, it creeps up. An error of just a few degrees over time and distance, space, often leads to either great joy or great sorrow. So, my dear friends, are your coordinates set correctly so that you are already experiencing great joy and will continue to experience great joy till the end of your days? Or are you already in the ditch? And how long are you going to remain in the ditch? You have to set your coordinates correctly, because small things matter. They create matter. Yeah, they create your experiences. All right. So how do you define wisdom? What does it mean to live insightfully? I said it in the last class. I'll say it again. It takes time to register. Through wisdom, we learn what to think, how to think, and how to behave in this ever-changing world, filled with as many illusions, brimming with challenges. We need to know what to think, how to think, and how to behave in this extremely not easy to live in world. Although it is magnificent, it's not easy. We need to learn how to flourish in this world without harming ourselves and other beings around us. And for that, we require a little bit of wisdom, if not a lot of. Clear? Through wisdom, we learn how to be in this world correctly. Through wisdom, we understand what the world is really about and how to place ourselves in harmony with it. That's what the function of wisdom is. Okay, most people are totally clueless. And that's why you look at the misery in the world. I'm going to underscore this truth again and again and again throughout this class in different ways, till hopefully by the end of the class, it will register. Okay. So what I've said is this. Tell me, if you wanted to become a doctor or a scientist or an architect or simply have a great marriage or be really happy in your workplace, whatever you wish to achieve, whatever, be spiritually awake, what is required for you to reach your destination? What is required? You want to be a doctor? Okay. So you spend days upon days on the tennis court. You're going to be a doctor? You enroll in medical college, but you're out there playing tennis. No can do. To be a doctor or to be happily established in your marriage, to be a great parent, to be whatever, to do or to be, we require first and foremost to build the right skill set. Without the right set of skills, it's impossible for us to reach our destination. You want to be happy in this world? Yeah. Where's your skill set? Where is your skill set for being joyful in this world, for flourishing in this world? Okay, the first and foremost requirement for achieving anything in this world requires learning the right skill set. Without it, no can do. Please understand, wishful thinking cannot work. Right. But the thing is, the tragedy is that people are just totally fast asleep, sleepwalking through life. And we need to wake up to the fact that our time on this planet is extremely short. 80 years, maybe 90 years, even that's short. Yeah. A world filled with challenges, illusions, difficulties. Time on this planet is extremely short. And the art of living well is extremely long. Takes lifetimes of practice. We need to wake up to the fact that precious opportunities are not just rare, but they're also fleeting. You don't catch them in time, they're gone, baby. They're gone. Who knows when the next one will come? Yeah. Our life experiences are often misleading. Think of the people who select their marital partners unwisely. It's misleading. Wow, hot stuff. If I only married this person, I'll be so happy. Disaster coming afterwards. Yeah. Our experiences are extremely misleading. And the possibility of making crystal clear choices that promote our well-being in the long term, the possibility of making such choices, not easy, very difficult. If it was so easy, we would be choosing well. Look at the people who are obese. Look at the people who drink and smoke and gamble. Making clear life choices is not easy. And yet, when we sleepwalk through life, we rivet our attention on things of lesser concern, secondary concerns, and neglect what is primary. That is the tragedy of the world. Making things which are secondary into primary concerns, and things which are primary, they're not even on the radar. And then we wonder why we suffer. Wake up. Are you understanding, please? We need the right skill set. But acquiring the right skill set is not easy. Life is short. The art of living well is exceedingly long. Precious opportunities are rare and fleeting. Our experiences are misleading. making skilled decisions. Whew. If it was so simple, we would have a very happy planet. Not happy planet, because not clear decision making. Skill set not on the radar. So, my dear friends, tell me, when is the best time to plant a tree? The seed for a tree. When is the best time? Must be 20 years ago? Well done. Yes, 20 years ago. And when is the second best time? Must be today? Yes. Grab a chocolate. Got it? The best time to plant a tree is 20 long ago, basically. Second best time? Today. The same rule applies to us. Same rule. We should have started personal refinement long ago, but we didn't. But it doesn't matter. We still have precious moment today. The thing is, it is really unskillful, extremely unskillful to delay doing what needs doing, what cannot be postponed indefinitely. Not skillful. Yeah, challenges are coming all the time. You're faced with illusions all the time. It's extremely unwise to delay on matters that should never be postponed. Why? Because our unwholesome habits then get a deeper grip on us. And we're on a collision course. Mount Erebus, the volcano. Suffering. So, what exactly is this skill set about? What exactly should we wake up to and not postpone the skill set? What is it? We need to organize our mind for full efficiency, optimum use, optimal. Yeah? Our mind has to be organized for full efficiency. At present, it is a little bit not efficient. No, too many rubbish. It has to be organized for full efficiency by cultivating the right habits and the right viewpoints as to what we are in essence and what the world is in essence. Only then can we flow through this world with power and grace without harming ourselves or the planet at large. Without full efficiency, too much fog in the mind, too many wrong choices leading to not happy consequences. Clear skill set. Now, what full efficiency means must be please explain a little bit. Yes, my darling. Let us look at three important areas in our lives. Yeah, three important areas. Health, relationships, career choice. Three, money, money. Lovey-dovey? Health. Okay. Why is it, please tell, why is it that millions of marriages fail? And not just that, just do your own research. People who marry and divorce are not in the position to make their second or third or fourth or fifth marriages work. They become even worse. They don't learn from their mistakes. Check. Why do marriages fail? Why are so many millions of people on this planet unhappy in their workplace? They don't like what they do. Even though they might be making millions, they don't like what they do. That's why scamming, too much scamming. And why are so many people not healthy? Pharmacies are popping up everywhere like mushrooms in the forest. Hospitals are full. Why? Why? Possibly because they did not join masterpiece classes. That's a possibility. But let's put that aside. Let's look at some other reasons. What makes for a really good doctor? How do you qualify someone as being, wow, this person's so hot stuff? Technical skill? Is that what it is? Technical skill? No, no, no. Technical skill is important, no doubt, but that's not what makes a good doctor. That's only a fraction of it. Are you aware that the risk of being sued by patients as a doctor, the risk of being sued by one's patients has very little to do with malpractice. Do you know that? You can bugger up someone's life with some shoddy treatment and not be sued. But you can do a great job on someone. Brilliant, absolutely flawless performance on the patient in whichever way, and yet get sued. So it's not really the technical skill that makes for a great doctor. So what is it? Why are these guys getting sued? Even though they've given their best performance. It all comes down to relationship skills. That's what makes a great doctor. Relationship skills, along with technical skills, not just the technical skill. So when a patient feels disrespected by the doctor, even though he's done a great job, that doctor most likely will get sued. So the easiest and simplest way to know what constitutes disrespect, you know what that is? The tone of voice. Tone. Is it gentle? Is it caring? Is it compassionate? Or is it dominant? That's what's happening. What makes for a skilled doctor is their relationship skills. So that even though they mess up on the patient, rarely does anyone say that, yes, he messed up on me, but I still want to sue him. If they were treated well, they will not sue the doctor. If they felt loved, if they felt cared, it's amazing how things work. They will not sue the doctor, even though their life. Are you getting the point? Skill set. The skill set we require is not technically oriented only. Yes, we need the technical skills, but that will do very little for us when it comes to living a wholesome, flourishing, joyful life. It's useless. Let me give you another example. Here's a love story. Yes, Master B, tell us a love story. In the 1800s, there was a brilliant doctor, Brother Will Halsted, 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 William Halsted, brilliant surgeon in the 1800s. He introduced disinfecting one's hands before surgery. So the nurses and everyone else working there had to disinfect their hands in different chemicals, make sure no germs. Okay. Now, working with Halsted was a beautiful nurse, Caroline. Extremely efficient, loved her job, brilliant nurse, and Halsted had deep respect for her. And so it happened that one day she came to him and said, "Listen, doctor, I can't continue any longer because look at my hands. Look at my hands. All that disinfectant, different baths of disinfectants, they ruined her hands. I can't work. The pain is too much. I'm quitting." Now, the thing is, this doctor, he not only had respect for this nurse, but he was secretly in love with her. So, guess what love does? Sparks our creative genius. Love. Yes. He invented gloves. Can you imagine? He got the Goodyear Rubber Company tires to make gloves for his beloved. Woo! He's the one who invented gloves. William Halsted, 1800s. Soon after, everyone was wearing gloves in surgeries. Yeah, but not just that. They got married soon after. He married this nurse that he absolutely adored, just loved her. And because she also loved him, she was willing to, well, let go of a career that she was passionate about. Became a housewife, because that was expected in those days. If you get married, no can work. Women no can work in the house. She wasn't happy there, but she did it for the sake of love. But then, my dear friends, she soon noticed that although William was a brilliant surgeon, at home, he was a nightmare. He was a bit of a nightmare in the house. Why? Nitpicking. It might work in the surgery room. Have you washed your hands? Have you done this? Have you done that? Making sure everything is in order. Fine. But to come home with that mindset, Why is it like this? Do it like this. Why? Complaints and criticisms. Constant. It drove her crazy. It drove her crazy to the point she became a drug addict. Morphine. It was easily available in those days. Morphine. Numb. Yeah. The point of the story is that they did not live happily ever after. Although love created the gloves and countless people have benefited from that discovery, their marriage was a flop. What makes a good doctor? Personal skills. Yeah. Social skills. Relationship skills. What makes a good marriage? Exact same rule. The point of the story is that love, although it is important, it's an art that needs to be learned. Without wisdom, it creates fiascos. Love and wisdom have to be wedded together. No wedding of this, then no happiness can be. Are you understanding? What makes a great athlete? Just his technical skills. I'm sure you know of athletes who are nightmarish in their personal lives. On the field, they may be great. In their personal lives, we'll be talking about some of them in the other classes. Terrible. So we require the right skill set to flow through this world in a manner that brings out our best, helps others to bring out their best, and we can live happily ever after. Without the right skill set, wishful thinking ain't gonna work. Right. So now we come to the next point. Although it is extremely important to honor our worldly obligations, yeah, workplace, family, social responsibilities, whatever. Although it is essential and honorable to fulfill our worldly obligations with family and work and friends and whatever, it is neither right nor proper, not proper. It is neither right nor proper nor profitable for us to neglect the cultivation of the right skill set while fulfilling our obligations. Because to neglect ourselves in the process of getting involved with the world is asking for huge fiasco. Huge. Why? In the midst of all our busyness, in the midst of all this outer focus, no inner focus, we are unable to hear the voice of our spirit calling us to live more consciously. Can't hear it. Too much chatter, chatter, chatter. Perceiving and responding to the voice of our spirit allows us to flourish in the world. When we do not perceive and respond to the voice of our spirit, nosedive into the ditch, suffering by default. You see, the voice of the hungry spirit is not like the voice of our stomach. It would be lovely if it would growl like our stomachs do when it is hungry. But the voice of our spirit doesn't growl when it is hungry. The voice of a hungry spirit is ill health, relationship fiascos, job dissatisfaction, and difficulties by the truckload. That's the voice of our hungry spirit that is being neglected in favor of worldly obligations minus the right skill set. Open eyes, look. Are you understanding, please? Hey. So how do we change things around for the better? How do we heed the voice of the spirit? Slow down, simplify. Yes, but there's something else. Imagine that you've made big bucks. Yeah, you worked hard, made some big bucks, and you've built this beautiful home in the countryside where you're going to retire. It's time to retire after all the struggling. Okay, build this lovely home in the countryside, beautiful landscape, everything's perfect. And you decide to call your friends over. You have a wide range of friends, wide range. You call them over for some housewarming. Come on, guys, let's celebrate my success. Yes, let's see who comes to your housewarming. There comes a chef. Yeah. Sally, hey, come on in. Sally's here. She's a chef. What will she notice the moment she comes into the house? What's cooking? Lovely. Is that cardamom? And this spice and that spice? A chef will, that's the focus, straight into the kitchen to see what the chef in the kitchen is doing. And they can exchange recipes. Yeah, that's the focus of the chef, Sister Sally. And then comes the architect. What does the architect notice? He doesn't even notice the smells, or the fragrance. He sees the house, the structure, the way it's built. That's his focus. And there comes Sally's hubby. He came a little after her. He's here. And he's a gossip monger. What's he gonna notice? He loves gossiping. As people flood in, he'll be checking who's talking to who's doing what. He's not interested in the architecture. He's not interested in the kitchen. He's not interested in anything else except what's going on with the people, how he can gossip later on. What will the environmentalist notice? Oh, you put up some solar panels. That's fantastic. And you also have a little wind turbine to harness the electricity, harness the wind for electricity. Fantastic, buddy. That's great. Now he will notice your carbon footprint. But then there's the landscape designer. Here he comes. What does he notice? Does he notice the architecture? Kitchen? Nah. Gossiping? Not interested. He notices the beautiful landscaping. Wow. Master B, or whoever it is, you. That's fantastic. Yeah, he notices the garden, landscaping, fantastic stuff. And when the hairstylist comes in, what does she notice? People who have a little bit of hair, people who have a lot of hair, how they have their hair. She notices the hairstyles. She's not interested in architecture or the landscape or anything else. Her focus is up there. Mustn't forget this other fellow. There's always one of those guys around. That guy over there, the Casanova. What does he notice? The babes. He's not interested in the architecture or in the food. He's interested in where the bedroom is and the babes. That's his focus. Casanova. Then, if you are lucky, if you've made the money and everything, and if you are really lucky and made good friends, you will have that rare being over there, that one there, come to visit. Most people don't have this connection. Most people don't have it, but you have it. That rare being. Who is that rare being? Is the babe who is spiritually awake. You made friends with some hot stuff spiritual person. What will she notice? The architecture? Hairstyles? Trust me, she'll notice everything. Everything. And more. And what is that more that she will notice, which nobody else really notices? No, it's not on their radar. They don't notice it. What will she notice? The vibes. The vibes in the garden, the vibes in the house, the vibes of the beings wearing those masks. That's what she notices. She can't help it. She's got that X-ray vision. She can't help it. That's what she notices. Just like the hairstylist notices hair. Can't help it. Yeah. She notices the vibes of the place. Let me give you a short story on vibes. Many years ago, when I taught in Europe, I rented an incredibly beautiful retreat center in Sweden for a retreat. Yeah, long retreat, residential, beautifully made, just new, fresh, beautiful lake, beautiful forest, everything absolutely top class. Lovely garden, lovely space, everything was just brilliant. Sweden. But that night, when I went to bed, I had nightmares. Terrible nightmares. Terrible suffering in the nightmares. So the next morning, when the owner came to visit to check if everything was okay, I asked him, "Hey, buddy, this is newly built. What was here before you built this center? What was here? Was there some structure here before?" And he said, "Yeah." Guess what it was? An abattoir, slaughterhouse, cows, slaughter. The vibes of those animals that had been slaughtered over there were in the ground. They were in the air. They were everywhere. The vibes, the intense misery these poor creatures experienced. I picked it up in my sleep state, connected with it when my mind was really calm, not influenced by these eyes, but influenced by a different vision. I picked it up. Yeah, vibes. They're all over the place. We're not even aware of them. So, my dear friends, the right skill sets. The moral of the story about the house is that unless we acquire a deep curiosity and a deep drive to understand and to know ourselves in depth, to understand and to know the world in depth, there can be no rich experiences. And without rich experiences, there can be no rich lives. And without rich lives, there can be no flourishing in this world. It's monotonous. Look at how bored people are, which makes them glue themselves to the TV every night, or slosh, or fiddle, 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 bored out of their wits. Why? Their lives are mediocre. To experience a rich life, we need a wide understanding of ourselves and the world we live in. That's the skill set. If William Halstead had that wide skill set, his marriage would have been brilliant. He didn't have it. Most people don't have it. That's why they suffer. Are you understanding? All right, let's move on to the next point. Next point is the same point in another way, said in another way, right? Okay. It was drizzling, and Lisa had to cross a river. It had been raining, now it was just drizzling, but the river was turbulent, and she needed to cross to the other side. It was important. And the ferryman was ready to take her across that turbulent river. Come on in, buddy. Come on in, honey. I'll take you. But how will we manage? Don't worry, just sit inside and we will get across. So he trusted his confidence and got in the boat. And there, she sat there enthralled at the fearlessness of this ferryman, the guy ferrying them across. No fear, turbulent waves, and supernatural skill in navigating that tiny little boat across a turbulent river to the other shore. Brilliant stuff. Drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. Lisa was flabbergasted. And when they reached the other shore, she asked him, "Hey, what's your secret? How did you do that? That was just effortless what you did. Brilliant stuff." I was terrified. But looking at you, I felt this confidence that I was safe. How did you do it? This is what he said. He said, "My darling, anyone who can swim well and anyone who can think well will do what I did. You need both the skills, not just skilled in swimming. You especially need skill in thinking well. Then, easy, easy." What was he saying? Just think, if you cannot channel your thoughts correctly, yeah, even though you're a great swimmer and you see that turbulent river And you know of the vast deep down there where you could head. If your mind is not well channeled, those thoughts will get better of you. And if you capsize and you start to panic, the river will turn you into fish food. But if your mind is well channeled, you have no fear of the water, none. No fear of that vast deep that you could end up in. No fear. Because for you, with a mind that's well channeled, the capsizing of a boat would be the same as the turning over of a horse cart on the solid ground. No big deal. You just swim to safety. With your mind well focused, that's your refuge. Not just swimming skills. This is your refuge. The right skill set. Okay, to view things correctly, to respond to the world correctly. Very, very important. Where did these balloons come from? All right. I should be careful with my gestures. Here's another example. I'm saying the same thing in another way. Here you are, once again. You are supersonic in archery. You are Mr. Cool Cat or Madam Cool Cat. Brilliant. You have the skill of a master. Bullseyes. Archery. Cool Cat. Oh, Lord. How do you put these things off? Anyway, you are now in a competition, contest. The stakes are not high. Yeah, just stakes are easy to handle. And here is your contestant, the guy who's challenging you. Your skill set, you remember, you are hot stuff. That's why you're called Cool Cat. Here's your challenger. And who's your challenger? Wannabe. Wannabe. Yes, there are many wannabes around. Wanna be great, but they're not great. Wannabe. You size them up. There's the target. Bullseye. Oh, three. Straight right there. Yeah. There comes wannabe. He's not hitting any bullseye. He's hitting bull's butt. Yeah. On the periphery of the target. Not on the eye. Yeah, bull's butt. Because he's a wannabe. No practice. You take home this prize. Cool cat. Yeah. Sometime later, you're challenged once again. This time, it's Mr. Hot Dog. Mr. Hot Dog is challenging you. Yeah, hot dog. And the stakes are higher, a lot higher. What will happen to you then? You size up hot dog and you see that he is definitely not a wannabe. This guy's been practicing. Yeah, the way he carries himself, his swagger and so forth. You're up with tough competition. Plus, the size of the stakes have been raised. A lot of money. Now, when you're aiming at the target, will your hand shake? Most likely it will. Why? Because your thoughts are not well channeled. They have extraneous concerns. Your focus is on the external, Mr. Hot Dog, and the big bucks that is being bet. All right? This time, you're not hitting any bull's eye. This time, you're hitting the bull's nose, not the eyes. Okay? Not in the center, just around the center. Then comes Hot Dog. He also hits the bull's nose and lips. Okay? It's a tie. You split the prize money. Just got away with it. Oh, God. You could have got the whole thing. But because you were nervous, your attention outside, not inside. You didn't do very well. Okay. But you didn't learn your lesson because the third contestant, a couple months later, you get a note. I'm challenging you to a contest. Guess who is your adversary? The Dragon Warrior. Yes, the Dragon Warrior is challenging you. Can you check the reviews? 5-star reviews. And the stakes are even higher than before. And what are the stakes? Do you want to know? The loser has to join Master B's classes. And he has to do the homework from the classes. Can you imagine a worse fate? Yes, terrible. And the winner walks away with the prize money. Yeah, the loser, the stakes, he has to join Master B's classes. So sorry. Dragon Warrior, here she comes with her regalia, feathers in her cap, dressed like a dragon warrior with her bow and her arrows. There's the target. Is your hand going to shake this time? You bet. It's not just going to shake, it's going to tremble. Yeah, you're petrified. Master Beast classes? My God. You let loose those arrows. And just as wannabe hit the bull's butt, you're not hitting the nose or the lips. You're hitting the bull's butt on the periphery because your hand is trembling. And then comes the Dragon Warrior. What happens? She misses the target altogether. 5-star reviews. How did that happen? He doesn't even hit the target. All a sham. Those were paid reviews. Yeah, we pay nowadays to get reviews. Paid reviews, all humbug. Oh, she has to join the classes. You get away with the prize money. Oh, God. Saved by the bell. Are you understanding, please? As soon as your focus is outside, you lose contact with your divine resources. Your skills are the same. As a pool cat, your skills in all 3 situations were the same. But because your mind started to tremble, you lost touch with your skill. So it's not just the technical skill that counts, psychological skill. Are you understanding, please? The right skill set, personal refinement has nothing to do with technical skill. It has to do with your awareness of yourself and the world you live in. That's the skill. And therefore, the wise people tell us, remind us, they yell at us to wake up to the fact that true brilliance is understanding the world and placing ourselves in harmony with it. That's true brilliance. Do you know what this means? It means it is our assessment of ourselves and our experiences and our responses to both ourselves and our experiences that creates our world. And as we change for the better, so does our world. That's what the wise people are telling us. Wake up. To place ourselves in harmony with this world, we have to understand it is our assessment, the way we translate our reality, the way the ferryman translated the boat and the turbulent waters to allow him that supernatural skill to go across with effortless ease. It was your lack of skill in archery to keep your mind riveted on what really mattered that allowed you to experience that kind of reality. It's our experiences of ourselves, it's our assessment of ourselves and our experiences that creates our world. And as we change for the better, so does our world. Please get this straight. Tattoo in the head, in the cellular memory, tattoo it. Therefore, our most important decision in life is not related to our choice of career. Our most important decision is not related to what we are going to contribute to the world. It's important, yes, but no, not most important. Neither is it in the selection of our marital partner. These are important decisions, right? So what is the most important decision? Our loftiest and grandest decision is to craft, like an artist, to craft an exemplary life that is of great value to all. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what the Buddha did 2,500 years ago. He crafted an exemplary life that has aided millions of people to wake up, to be free from their suffering. Yeah? So what exactly is an exemplary life? It consists of the transmutation, metamorphosis of this self-interest, this sense of small self, transmuted into transpersonal frequency. beyond the self. Think of the world. Stop me, I, me, and myself. That's illness. Yeah, it's an illness you have to be free from. This constant I focus. An exemplary life is one that is transpersonal, caring for the welfare of the world because you're one with it. And when we care for the welfare of the world by caring for ourselves correctly, we have a direct line to transcendental forces. Direct line. And when we craft that direct line to transcendental forces, that's when we live intuitively. That's when we live effortlessly, because the wisdom of the universe flows through us and allows us to achieve the wildest things in this world that are not just for our benefit, but for the benefit of the whole. That's an exemplary life. A self-centered life is an invitation for disaster. So, my dear friends, we are coming to a conclusion. Listen properly. Those who are wise seek first and foremost to better themselves before they seek to accomplish anything in this world. That's the wise. Because then, when they work on themselves first and then reach out to the world, the transcendental forces guide them towards achieving whatever they set their mind upon effortlessly. Things come to them unbidden, effortlessly. Once we establish that contact with the good Lord, we're cruising. So the wise first seek to better themselves, to get the right skill set first before attempting to accomplish anything in the world. The unwise seek to accomplish things in the world before the skill set and create misery for themselves and everybody else. Look around you. Are you understanding, please? So very important to do things in the right sequence. Here's an example from my life story. As I've said in other classes, but I shall repeat it again. Because I have lived in deep devotion to clarity for lifetimes upon lifetimes, that in this life, I was motivated to know myself in depth at the age of 13. I started reading books to know my strengths and to know my weaknesses, so I could flow through this world with power and grace. My friends who I grew up with didn't have that learning from the past. They got involved in drugs and alcohol and other life-destroying habits. Who knows where they are now, right? So then this desire to know myself and to grow myself, although it was there in my teens, when I entered my 20s in 1980, yes, I discovered my calling. And this passion to know myself became a full-time task. Full-time, what do I say? Passion, right? I, when I graduated from college and came back to India to practice the Dhamma in 1983, I lived in the mountains for 4 years. Caves, huts, wild places. Most people would never do that, yeah, because don't have practice from previous lifetime, so cannot to do. Then in 1988, through deep practice, dedicated practice, mind open, big opening. Once the mind opened in the mountains, I knew that it was time now to re-enter the world. So in September, my mind opened in May. In September, I left the mountains and I went to my root guru's city center in Kathmandu, Lama Zopa's city center in Kathmandu called Himalayan Yogic Institute. I became the house manager there. No money, no money to have food and shelter. I offered my services. I was not being paid. The director of the center, beautiful, beautiful English lady, nurse, Frances Howland, Howland. Beautiful. She was the director, I was the house manager, and we had teachers coming into that center to give classes, talks, and workshops. It was not built for retreats, just a small city center. I worked in the office looking after the shop, managing everything, making sure the teachers were comfortable, managing the food for the workshops, getting the cook to cook this and cook that, all that. Yeah, that was my task. No pay, no pay, no money. Now, the people who came for these classes, all the students from around the world, pretty much, Kathmandu, they would come into the shop to buy things and they would start chatting with me. And I would chat with them happily. And soon, news spread to Francis that they wanted to do a class with me. So Francis comes along. Francis was always into making money, money, money for the center, of course, not for herself, for the center. So came over to me in 1989. I was there in 88, September. Months passed, people got to know me and so forth. And my reputation spread. Francis came over and said, Behram, I've been getting lots of requests from these guys who come to these classes that they would like to do a class with you. Why don't you, when there are no teachers around, why don't you give a talk? Why don't you give a workshop when there's no one else around and make some money for the center? So I said to her, Francis, come on, are you nuts? I'm not qualified. I'm not, nah, forget it. But she badgered me. And she badgered me. No, Behram, you have to. Weeks passed. So then I finally said to her, look, you want me to make money for the center? Okay, you want me to start teaching? Fine. But only if Lama Zopa authorizes me to teach, will I teach. I'm not setting myself up as a hotshot teacher. Regardless of what those guys are saying, regardless of what you want, no, unless I get the clearance from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, I'm not teaching. So as luck would have it, there was an Australian monk, Max, beautiful fellow, blue eyes. Max was on his way to Geneva to do a retreat with Lama Zopa, who was in Geneva at the time. So Francis sent a message with Max asking Lama Zopa to check if I was qualified to teach. And Lama Zopa was famous for doing what is called mo, like throwing a dice, throwing dice, and then reading the dice. He was brilliant at that. Could predict things amazingly. So Lama Zopa did the mo for me in Geneva. A couple of weeks later, fax to Francis, where she was working as a nurse. She gets the fax. She comes the evening after work. Behram, look at this, look at this. What's that? Lama Zopa said you're ready to work. You can give classes. You're qualified. What? She made me read the fax. No, okay. If he says so, let's do it. So I started teaching on the 1st of June, 1989, first class. And trust me, it was full. And somebody asked me, how long have you been teaching, Behram? In that very class, in the first class, and in a couple of weeks later also. How long have you been teaching, Behram? This is the first class, buddy. First class. No, we can't believe that. I can't believe that. You have been teaching before. No, this is my first class. Are you understanding what I'm saying? I had already built the skill set from the age of 13, which allowed me to teach effortlessly to all those guys who profited from the teachings. Then there was constant demand. Behram, we want to do a long retreat with you. Where are you giving a retreat? So I can't give it here. I can only do workshops here. Can't do retreats. So because the demand for retreats grew, I left HYI in December 89, came back to India. When I started teaching in Dharamshala 3 months later, after the winter, okay, again, my classes were full, and I was teaching in a place where His Holiness lives. And there's these really amazing lamas, brilliant lamas with thousands of students. And yet, in the midst of that context, my classes were full, and not just full. I had waiting lists. People were waiting to get into my classes effortlessly. No effort. So, my dear friends, those who are wise perfect themselves first and then engage in the world. Those who are unwise engage in the world without perfecting themselves, and then they get riddled with illnesses. They get riddled with relationship fiascos, financial fiascos. That's not the way to live. Are you understanding, please? Okay. So be wise. Connect first and let the good Lord flow through you and guide you to worldly and spiritual success. Without that connection, there is no insightful living. And without insightful living, there's no effortless living. And if there's too much effort, you will exhaust yourself. And early rebirth. Here's another little story. When I was in Lagos, Nigeria, 12 years, and during the monsoons, lots of places you would get flooded. So on this particular day, I was out in the city doing whatever. And I was walking to my motorcycle to go back home, and the waters were almost up to the knees. Yeah, flooded the city. And there I saw something that was absolutely mind-boggling. And what did I say? There were these three hefty Nigerians, workers, laborers. They were on top of a flatbed of a truck. You know the flatbed where they carry all these materials? Open flatbed. And the cabin, there was a driver inside the cabin. And these guys were pushing the cabin on, they were on top of the flatbed, pushing that cabin. Why? Because the car wasn't starting. I looked at them and I thought, I couldn't figure out what they were actually doing because they couldn't be that daft, but they were. And they were yelling at each other, and the driver was yelling at them. So I said to them, "Hey, bro, what are you doing, boys?" Nigerian English. We are pushing the car because it is not starting. But you cannot be up there. You have to be down there on the ground to start the car. Wow. Can't you see the water? We don't want to be in the water. My friend, you have to be in the water to start push the car. No can push. So it wasn't registering for these guys. They were guys from the villages. No, not enough awareness. So I knocked on the glass of the driver cabin. And I said to him, "Hey, buddy, brother, tell those guys to get in the water. They cannot be pushing from out there." He said, "What are you saying?" It registered. He had a little bit better IQ. So then he yelled at them, "Get down in the water and push it." They grudgingly got in the water, started to push the car. And it worked. Yes. Grounded. You might say, how could someone be so stupid? Well, it's not stupid. It's just fast asleep. The point is, are you grounded? Are you grounded when you believe that all is well in your world and you don't need spiritual practice? Are you grounded? You're trying to make your life work with this on a foundation which cannot allow it to work. You need the right skill set. There's a saying, victorious warriors win first and then go to battle. Defeated warriors go to battle first and then hope to win. Victorious warriors win first. Win what? The battle in their mind. Then they go to war. Defeated warriors go to war first and then hope to win. No can do. Rules of attraction, ladies and gentlemen, wake up. Are you grounded in the right values? Are your coordinates set correctly? Because over time and distance can lead to huge suffering if they're not set correctly. It's time to wake up. Wakey, wakey. Thank you for listening. Keep on rocking. See you again in the next class. Well,